So we've covered your entry into the business, spoken a little bit about your governing principles, about process and how we serve the customer and how that can be a source for a certain level of competitive advantage, and also the aspirations. What does it mean to build LG out as a global business? But a key component of this is people, right? So how do you bring people on board with you to help you execute against this?
I think at the end of the day, whatever your aspiration are and whatever is the roadmap to your aspiration that you build out is about people delivering that, right? Now, you can have people, you can have process, but the question is at the end of the day, if you want to build a company that's at a knife's edge of excellence, right? People have to be at that level. Now, you got to step back and reflect what makes people do that, right? Now, in the final analysis, right, a person goes to work to make a living, to live. Now, if the work doesn't give the challenges at an emotional level, a challenge to be able to make a difference, there's no incentive for somebody to come and put his heart into it.
You're a zombie.
Yes, it becomes a mechanical process. The other thing is, if I do that, right, there should be a reward, not so much to have a great lifestyle, but it's just the recognition that I've done it and I feel I belong here. And so the whole idea of equity and sharing your wealth is so foundational to building the people envelope around the company, right? All the more so in India, where inequity is very high. Yeah?
Very visible.
Very visible, and it's widening, and nobody is really actively managing it, right? So we follow certain principles in LG in terms of equity, right? One example would be, we have a limit, multiple limit, between what the lowest guy gets and what the highest guy gets. We will never violate that multiple. Now, therefore, as a CEO, if I think I'm worth more and I want to earn more, I got to find ways for the people at the bottom to earn more, so that multiple enables me to earn more, right? So, how do you go and manage the principle of that, right? How do you get people to earn more? It's very easy to just go on double salaries, triple salaries at the bottom, and therefore I get my multiple. Disaster. It's a perfect recipe for bankruptcy. So how do you build more value of the work that people do at the bottom, right? And it works its way up. A lot of times, compensation is viewed from the top down. In LG, we work it from the bottom up. So we are very conscious of what people earn at the bottom, right? The second aspect of equity is, there are two types of employees in any company. Employees that don't have a choice. Invariably, the blue-collar employees. They have very little choice of employment outside the company. The white-collar employees have the option of going. They don't like the environment, they don't like the compensation, they can go and get a job elsewhere. Now, we have to segment employees and cater to their specific requirements. So a blue-collar employee will always have very high levels of insecurity, right? And there is always an inherent feeling that, am I going to get left behind, right?
Sure.
And if I don't argue and make my presence felt, I may not be considered. So what we do is, the blue-collar employee is the lowest level of employee. We flip the whole equation out and say, the person with the lowest voice will be heard the highest in the company. So our process today is about saying, I want you to speak, and I want you to speak loudly, and I promise you that I will hear it the most, right, and respond to it, right? So on the white collar, it's about, the market, of course, in India is all driven by instant nirvana. I want it today and I want it immediate, right? So that's become the the social fabric. But to build an organization that's going to be world class, you need tenure of people. You can't just have people revolving around like a merry-go-round, right? So how do you build tenure for white-collar employees in an environment where this constant rotation is the norm rather than the exception, right? So excitement in the job, learning opportunities in the job, further education on the job, higher challenging jobs, and of course, be the best in compensation, right? So these are all the elements that we are working on. And I hope that, and the equity piece is very important. So, senior leadership to the lowest level, there will be an equity in terms of their compensation. So I think these are elements of pieces that we put together in the whole larger envelope of people management. Yeah.